Okay, good evening and welcome to chapter 23 of The Living Marriage. Tonight we're going to be doing part number 3 of section 7, the all-encompassing love of marriage. This is really a completion of chapter 22, where he talked about the three different types of love there is in this world. Um, love of, lowest love is love of pleasure, and there's love of a partnership, where strategically it's good to be in a partnership with somebody, and then or you love certain similarities. You have certain similarities with the person you love. And then there's a love of virtue, where your love is predicated on, something virtuous. The paradigm example is a student and his Rav, a Talmud and a Rav, because they learn Torah together, they learn how to act together. So it's a love of virtue. That's the highest type of love. Um, Now he talks about bringing it to marriage, the all-encompassing love of marriage. He talks about all three aspects of love could possibly exist in a marriage, right? He says the love of a husband and wife should be ideally a love of virtue. What is the love of virtue? He says when the couple yearns to unify for the sake of the connection of self, they transcend to the exalted state of completion called the complete Adam, which was created in the image of God. This is the highest level of love that can be found between people, and is also the most natural. A relationship found in such a love will naturally grow over time as the couple constantly strives to uncover greater expressions of their inner unity. Such a union inspires all forms of blessing, as well as the Shekhinah dwelling in the couple's home. As he said throughout this book, the point of marriage is to unify, to become a complete Adam. I have what to say about this. I always say no. It's about enjoying yourself in the bedroom. That's the point of marriage. It's to be together in the bedroom, and the point is to enjoy it, not to unify and complete Adam. But I do have something to say about a complete Adam, which ties into the end of this chapter. It's a short chapter. He talks about the love of pleasure in marriage. He says a young couple, right, a lot of times are into the pleasure in marriage. It's a good thing, he says, but it should lead, right? He said newly wed couples often begin with a fresh, blossoming love of virtue, as well as a powerful physical attraction, which is primarily rooted in the love of pleasure. Such a couple needs to use the love of pleasure to enhance their inner desire to unify, while at the same time ensure that their love of pleasure does not become the central point of the relationship. It's not evil to have love of pleasure. However, it has to lead to the higher level, which is a love of virtue, of unification. And he talked about the second type of love of benefit and similarity in marriage. And he says this, I agree with. Unfortunately, today, many marriages, even in Torah observant homes, are based primarily on the love of benefit and similarity. Meaning, basically, you're marrying in a box, your type, which really only exists in the Hamish or Haredi or Hasidish communities. A lot of times, I feel this way that people are really, the girls are looking for, and girls are the ones looking at the guys. They want to marry a white shirt and a black jacket and a black hat and black pants. They don't care who the boy is. He's got to look at and the sits out, and he's got to be learning a kollel. What is he doing? What is he wearing? Person? Who cares? They're interchangeable. People are interchangeable. As long as he's learning 3 sidarim a day, he's gonna go to night seder, and he's gonna learn for the rest of his life. Ideally, only b'shas hatzchak mamash mamash mamash. Then he can go to America to collect tzedakah for the family, um, or and of course you got to wear the right clothes. If you're Hasidish, you got to wear the shtreimel, you got to wear the bekisha, and that's what their marriage is about. Unfortunately, a lot of people are like that. It's strong because the forces of peer pressure tell us like that's more important. And personally, I'm witness to two marriages. I'm familiar with two marriages, people close to me. Um, I'm not intimately involved with and not knowledgeable about everything in their marriage, but there's a very stark contrast in the two marriages. One marriage is based on that, where marrying the right type of person. The guy he's a kolal avrech. He does everything right. He's a serious kolal avrech. He's very machmer aloha. Always has to rub every shaila. He's always wearing the black hat. Sits us out. Always looks right. Unfortunately, I heard from behind the curtain that he doesn't know how to love his wife. He doesn't know how to love his wife, and it's a very sad story. The wife doesn't feel love. We'll talk about it in a second. And the main thing in a marriage for the wife is to feel love, that her husband loves her, and he doesn't know how to show it to his wife, whether he just isn't able to because he wasn't created that way, or just because the things weighing on his mind are being machmer halacha. That's also a big problem. He's very machmer halacha, and when you're very machmir halacha and you're always asking Rav Shilas, especially about things in the bedroom, it causes the wife said she's afraid to go into her house. She's afraid of her husband. Afraid. He doesn't beat her. At least I don't think so. But I don't know if he. I mean, he probably verbally abuses her, but not in like a demeaning way. Just commands her to do certain things based on halacha, all in the name of virtue. Um, Unfortunately, it's a very sad marriage, and the woman's going out of her mind. The woman's going crazy, literally going crazy. She's not divorced at this point, but the wife is really she hasn't been herself ever the day she got married. She hasn't been herself, and it's really unfortunate um, because she was a really great person before, and she was a nice person and had good qualities, a good personality. Um, but she lost it. She's kind of like both bipolar now. So you go crazy if your needs not being taken care of in the bedroom, and there's no person behind the black jacket and black hat. Um, and then there's another marriage I'm familiar with where the person is not doing all the things technically the tzitzis and the black hat and everything like that, but it's a love, you know, where they love each other and they demonstrate that in the bedroom primarily, and that's really the focus of the marriage. Um, does marriage not have problems? Of course, it has minor problems. I would say it's minor problems because those things can always be fixed. You can talk about, you negotiate how the husband dresses and things like that, but um, that's really a minor detail. If there's love in the bedroom, and the wife feels the love, then she's gonna be happy, maybe even super happy. Um, so he says this is what he's talking about over here, that um, this is like the love between two business partners. While there is some connection between them, if the success of the partnership is not achieved, their love will disappear as well. A home resting on these lower levels of love will be tolerable, but filled with a cold spirit. It'll be more similar to business than a home. This is far from the Torah expectations of building a home. In general, young people should look and search for certain virtues and similarities in marriage candidates. If after several years of marriage, the trait that once existed begins to disappear, the relationship will also quickly unravel. Now, he's saying only if the person takes off the black hat or takes off the white shirt, then the marriage will dissipate. No, the marriage is done before. If you're just after the three Siddharim and learning in Kolal and the black hat, there will be no marriage. You have to have a personality behind it, a person and a personality behind it. Um, so I feel that's a real problem in the Haredi community, in the community that I live in. Not so much the modern Orthodox community, or the more lenient community, but Hasidic community definitely exists probably even more. I'm not familiar intimately with the Hasidic community because I'm not part of the Hasidic community, but I know the Hasidic community where the arranged marriages, they barely even meet each other beforehand. I mean, you can't even speak out of line. It's probably even much more serious than the Hasidic communities. I can't imagine too many marriages that are normal marriages in the Hasidic community. But I don't know. But that's my impression. Um, Obviously, he doesn't talk about the main, like he said, the main point of marriage is this third love, the love of virtue. He concludes the chapter. He says, "Message to the husband. These are the golden words of the Rambam. Describe the obligations of the husband toward his wife and the wife towards her husband." He brings in Hilchas Ishus from the Rambam. The Rambam says, We discussed this earlier, that a husband has an obligation to love his wife like his body, and to honor her more than his body. And then halacha chaf, the next halacha, she should honor her husband a lot, exceedingly. She should have fear. Now, I don't think fear is a good thing, but and the Gemara says, the husband's not supposed to be no fear with his wife. The Gemara in Shabbos and Lamed Hey, should be like a general or a king. Now, there's different than a general king. A king, I agree with. A general, not. She should do whatever he wants, and whatever he hates, she should distance from herself and from the house. Now, the author writes about this Rambam. One who examines the Rambam's words carefully will notice that in precept 19, he discusses the husband's obligation to love his wife like his body and to honor her more than his body. In precept 20, describing the wife's obligation, he states that she must honor her husband, but he did not mention any obligation to love him. This is because things that are natural don't need to be instructed. The man begins marriage in a state that requires him to work, to see beyond his own self, recognize the values of his wife, and love her like his own body. On the other hand, the wife's love for her husband will tend to flow naturally and needs no instruction. Her her own nature will lead her to give him double the love that he gives her. So he basically says the man has to work on loving his wife. The wife doesn't need to work on loving her husband. She needs to work on honoring her husband. So this is based on the Rambam. It's not a Gemara. It's based on a Gemara, based on a various Gemara. The Rambam gets these two halachas from. From my little experience in marriage, I would say like this, and I think everyone who's been married really understands this. On a very simple level, once you become married, you realize this, that for a woman, love is much more important than respect, and for a man, respect is much more important than love. If you ask the husband what would he rather have from his wife, he'd say respect. That she respects me. Every man, if he feels like he's not respecting his wife's eyes, that she looks down on him, he's gonna feel like dirt. You can look all over the internet. Andrew Tate says the same thing. Everyone says, I'm talking about Andrew Tate in a second, and his toxic masculinity, like everyone likes to claim, or the legacy media likes to claim. Because I do believe there's truth to that. Toxic masculinity associated with Andrew Tate. It's not completely false, and I'll tell you why in a second. But and for a man, so the man wants respect, and the woman, she wants love. That's what she wants. She wants love. Women don't care about respect. Now I explain respect in a different aspect, not about honoring her, giving her, the bench from the koshel bracha, or giving her one of the brachos, the sheva brachos. No, that's not the respect we're talking about. We're talking about respect. Respect really means to cover up someone's blemishes, to cover up their faults, cover up their disgrace. That's what kavod hameis is, kavod habrios. That's what kavod is. Kavod is not honoring somebody. That's giving someone power, fame, celebrity, giving them celebrity. Or, an honor sometimes is to honor something more than, give them an honor when they don't deserve it, right? Fame or celebrity is you deserve to be an exalted VIP person. You are a very important person. So, for a wife, it's very important to be loved, and for a husband, it's very important to be honored. Now, the Gemara says also a husband should respect his wife, and he should respect her. He should care about her. That's what it means, right? You should show love to your wife. The main way of showing love to your wife is in the bedroom, to make love to your wife, and also to compliment her when she does things nice, and to buy her flowers and buy her chocolates and tell her you love her. Always important. At least twice a day, tell your wife you love her. Give her a kiss, give her a hug. Twice a day. You should do these things to show her that you love her, because that's what's important to a woman. A hug is a lot more powerful for a woman than actual being together sometimes. If it was just being together, just a hug means a lot more to a woman than the actual being together. Of course, it's best if you have both, right? The foreplay, and then you have the being together. That's the ultimate. But she needs the love. She needs to feel that she's loved. Women don't have a desire for honor. They just don't. But to honor a woman is to care for her, and if you care for her, right, that helps with the love also. Now, I want to talk about the second halacha that Ram talks about. The woman should respect her husband. 99% of husbands complain that their wives don't respect them. In what ways they don't respect them? They don't ask them for decision making. When they have decisions to make, they don't ask. They just do things themselves. They talk down to their husbands. They make fun of their husbands, sometimes privately, sometimes among family. Their husband says something, they contradict him in front of other people. It's a problem that exists. Women have this problem. They don't know how to honor their husbands. It's very hard for them. And men feel terrible. They're doing all the work. They're getting jobs. They're earning money, and they come home. They don't feel respected. Andrew Tate talks about this a lot. They don't feel respected. And they're for sure not loved, right? If she loved him, she would respect him. So, the reason it's so hard for a woman to respect their husbands is because, even though Andrew Tate says, we have to talk about men and men deserve respect, but at the end of the day, I always say marriage is 100 to 0. Being a man is very difficult, like Andrew Tate says. It's very difficult. But, it's a very big risk and it's a very big reward, right? If you don't do anything, if you don't become a man, right? You're born, your genetics show that you're a man. You have the body parts of a man, but you don't act like a man. You don't command respect. You don't act in a strong way, a masculine way, A real man is someone who attracts women. That's what a man is. A man is someone who attracts women. In order to attract women, and women should be attracted to you, you have to be confident and you have to be strong. Now, strong physically is part of it. Just someone who has a six pack or has big biceps is not necessarily going to attract women. He has much more importantly is the strength of character and specifically the strength of words. If you come off with the way you speak as a strong man, the way you move your body, the way you speak um, to a woman, speak to other people, right? You look a woman in the eye. You able to talk down to a woman. That's very hard to flirt with her. Most women try to be, if they like a woman, they try to be nice to her, to kiss up to her. But that's just going beneath her. You have to be above her. And women are drawn to men who are stronger than them and able to talk down to them and flirt with them. It's very most women, 98% of men don't know how to do this. Maybe 99%, but that's a strong man, and only a man can attract women. Now, and when I say risk reward, now even in our society, in the Western society, there's really no reward because monogamy is the only option really. So you can only have one wife. So even if you're a strong man who could potentially attract multiple women, or you have a lot of money and you can support a lot of women, it's not allowed. You have to be in a monogamous relationship. So there's really no much reward. I mean, you might be able to get a beautiful girl with a beautiful personality, a fun personality. But at the end of the day, men need diversity, like I've said all the time. Men need more than one wife. They need more than one wife. That's just the reality. They need something new. That's why men always cheat on their wife. Their wives always cheat. When their wives get older, or even after a year of marriage, they'll cheat. I mean, unless they're someone who's very loyal. They're very, morally sound person or a loyal person, or they keep the Torah and halacha, and because of that. But if they just do what they want, they're going to cheat. Just it happens. Even if they're beautiful wives, they're going to cheat. If they're a man that can get other women easily, and a strong man can get other women very easily, after just talking to her for 10 minutes, you get it easily. So Andrew Tate is one of those people. He's physically very strong. He's a kickboxing champion, and he is also a very confident person and very strong in the way he talks. You see him talk these podcasts or whatever. Strong opinion, says what he says with clarity. He says what he says with power. And a lot of his opinions are right on, spot on. So he's a very powerful man because of his speech. His brother, who's much better looking than him, doesn't speak so much, and I guess he gets women also. I guess they work together, always together. They're in jail now, if anyone cares about that. But if you don't know Andrew Tate, just Google it. He was the most Googled person in 2022. He's just an influencer on social media, even though he was kicked off basically all social media because of something called toxic masculinity. And this is what I want to talk about. Even though Andrew Tate is in the 1%, or as he likes to say, the 0.0001% of men, because he basically says, and he has this, he's not married. He has women around him wherever he goes, lots of women. In fact, the way he made all of his money, he's like a billionaire. The way he started to make most of his money in order to get the money to invest it and make more money was something called webcam, where he was so good at getting girlfriends that he just, would meet a girl, he'd buy her a drink, he would become their boyfriend and girlfriend. He would sleep with them, whatever. He's not a, moral guy. I mean, if you believe in those things. And once he would tell them, listen, let's make business together, right? And the webcam is basically, you put a woman in a house or whatever, and she has a camera over there, and people pay money to talk with her, does different things, takes off clothes or whatever and things like that to attract men. And there's a big business he made out of it, and they split a partnership. He organized the business, the woman, his girlfriend. Then we just go to another girlfriend, become boyfriend, girlfriend, and then lead her into the same situation. So wherever he went, he had girls around him, and he's a very powerful person. And he took advantage of it. He's not going to get married, especially not in the Western world, to one person, because he can have many women. But there is something associated with him called toxic masculinity. I want to talk about this now. And this has something to do with what the author is talking about, being a complete Adam, a complete person. It's like this, that there's two words to describe men and women. One word is man and woman. One way is male and female. Now, there's two ways. You could ask, what's the person's sex, or what's the person's gender? You use interchangeably. However, they mean very different things. The sex is man or woman, right? A man, his sex is a man. A woman's sex is a woman. The gender of a man is male, not man, male, and the gender is female. So you can have female gender or male gender. Now, there's a lot of woke culture, and people are in gender identity, and people, men are identifying as a woman, women are identifying as a man. And you're not going to believe what I'm going to say over here, but I believe there's truth to this. I really do. That a lot of men feel they identify with women. Their gender, right? You can be physically, physically you have male body parts, which are really important sexually, right? Right? Male body parts are sexual body parts. That's what they're used for, right? Those, and the woman's her primary sexual body parts and secondary sexual body parts, or her voice or things like that. Those are used in the bedroom. Those are things which are meant to promote sex between the man and the woman. So things which are things which are body parts, or secondary sex characteristics which define you as a man or a woman, those are things which I don't think you can change, because that's physiological in your body. But I mean, some people do transgender, but I don't like the idea of transgender. I mean, some people do it. I mean, if you ask me, I think it's better to stay what your body is. But in identifying as a different gender, I think makes sense, because I do believe in reincarnation and Gilgulim, and I think a lot of people that are reborn as men really were women in their past life, and some people who are born as a woman were really men in their past life. They just didn't actualize being a man or actualize being a woman, right? The man doesn't actualize being a man because he doesn't a strong person to be able to attract a woman. A woman doesn't actualize being a strong woman by criticizing her husband and not, taking the role of giving honor to her husband. So there's gender and there's sex, and yes, if you're born with male sex characteristics, you should be a man, and but also it's by gender. Even a man, right, who's able to attract a strong man, a true man has both male and female gender roles, right? You talk about roles. Gender is used, right, how I identify myself, or this used as gender roles, right? Certain jobs, certain chores are usually done by men, gender roles, certain by women, right? Usually the men are the one who take care of the finances, earn the money, the ones who, do the hard work. They're in the police, the military. Um, Usually the men are do those things, or they're, don't see too many female garbage. They take out the garbage even in the household, right? There's chores that the man does and chores that the woman does. The woman takes care of the kids, she cleans the house, she cooks the food. The man is the one who is the breadwinner. He's the one who takes care of the finances. He's responsible, for all the documents and passports and things like that. So the men's, there's gender roles. Sometimes the women step in and do the gender roles of the man. Sometimes men step in and do the gender roles of the woman. Now, a complete man, right? A marriage is 100% to zero. Meaning a complete man who's able to be a successful marriage, which has to be 100 to 1. He has to both be a man sexually, right? Who's able to attract women. He has a strong personality. That's right. The personality is right really what makes you a confident and cool. Is like, it's hard to do. Also, I'm a cool person, but but it's hard to do that. But gender role, I think, and that's why marriage is important, which Andrew Tate is not married, because when you get married, that's the only way really to become in touch with your feminine self, right? He talks about in this book about becoming a complete Adam, and through being married, you become a complete Adam, especially in the bedroom when you unify with the woman. That's not exactly the way you become a complete Adam. It is due to marriage, but it's due being married with a woman. A lot of times you have kids, young kids. I'm in a situation like this. You have to learn the gender roles of a woman. You have to, and also by being emotional, right? You have to learn to take care of kids, right? Give them medicine, take care of them, feed them. Sometimes you have to, change their clothes, change their diapers. You have to, you know how to clean the house. You even have to know how to cook sometimes. You're always not able to cook. You have to know how to be able to cook meals, prepare meals. So even to become a complete person, you have to have the gender identify sometimes with the gender of the female, meaning take over the gender roles of the female. And that's important to being a complete person, right? A complete person is a man, right? Plus, he's able to do both gender roles, the gender roles of the man, of the male, and the gender roles of the female. And part of also gender roles of the female is being an emotional person. Women are more emotional than men. And, Andrew Tate talks about, always being stoic as a man, not showing your emotion. And then why is it so important to have both, to be a complete Adam, to have being able to identify as a female gender and be a man simultaneously, because this is what he says over here. He says it's obvious that a woman's going to love her husband. That's not true at all. And Andrew Tate, despite all the women that will, he can walk into the house set and they'll do whatever he said, they'll respect him, ad infinitum. Every woman in the world and every woman who meets him will respect him. Yes, I do believe that. I believe he can command the respect of how many women as he wants. But he won't have any woman that's gonna love him, and you got to get married to do that. And because he's the person, you look at his personality. He's not a person who would ever cry. He's not an emotional person. I don't know if he would be able to deal with kids or deal. Monogamy. Forces you to deal with one wife, and that's a hard thing, to be loyal to one wife. That's really what it teaches you, to be role with the gender. A female, right? She loves only one man. A woman's only going to love one man. She's not going to want a second. A real woman's not going to want. If she has a husband she loves, that's good enough for her. Even if she has to share that husband with other people, if she loves him, that's the ultimate. And the only way you get that is by connecting with the female gender and learning, the emotions of a female and how to take care of things that a female does. So she can feel a likeness to, a similarity, like a friendship to you, because you know how to take care of the kids just as good as her. You know how to cook just as good as her. You know how to clean the house just as good as her. So she can identify with you both as a strong man and as someone she likes, right? Women usually form friendships with people you like. Men usually form stronger friendships with other men, and women form other strong friendships with a woman. You can only be, right, that strong friend to the woman if you identify as a female gender also. And that's why marriage makes you a complete person, because it makes you not only someone that your wife could respect. She'll respect you if you're sexually a strong man, if you're a man, right? But in order to become a complete Adam, you have to be a female gender, not a female. I don't think you have to have female body parts. You shouldn't. I don't think you should be transgender, but female personality, a female emotions, female gender roles. Those are important in order to become a complete Adam for yourself, for the man, because again, everything is for the man. Man was created first. Woman was taken from man, and ultimately, someone who's born a male, right? If you're born a female, so you should strive to do what a female is supposed to do, and that's respect her husband. And it's hard to do that because but you should try your best. Just like any other mitzvah, you should try your best. And maybe in the next Gilgal you'll be a man. I don't know, whatever. But it is what it is. But if you're a man and you want to reach the ultimate success in life, you have to be a complete Adam. And it's not just by being together with your wife in the bedroom. It's the whole concept of marriage teaches you to get in touch with the female side of yourself. And that's the thing that is toxic in masculinity about Andrew Taylor. He's not married. He doesn't advocate marriage. He thinks marriage is a waste of time. And it's not a waste of time, because it teaches you the gender role of a female, to actually not get the woman just to respect you, but even to love you, right? And that being married and being a successful husband in marriage gets a woman not just to respect you, but to love you. And that is really hard. It's really hard to get a woman. A lot of women, if you're a strong, powerful man, they'll respect you, but they won't love you. To get a woman to truly respect you and love you, right? The Rambam doesn't say, maybe it's almost impossible to find a man who could be respected and loved. But that is much harder, even though Andrew Tate is 0.1%, and there's even 0.001% if you get your wife to respect you and love you. And maybe one day we'll get rid of the Takanas Rabbeinu Gershom, and men can get paid back for all the hard work that they have to do. They have to work hard and work on themselves 100% to 0% in the marriage to become a complete person who their wife not only respects but also loves. And then they can get the ultimate reward to be, married to as many women as they want and that they can afford. Because if you want to be married to more than one woman, you have to be able to afford it also. You have to take care of their needs and respect them. So I think that's obvious. It's not easy to do this. It's not in the Western world. This is not even able to talk about it. In the Eastern part of the world, people do these. They take wives and they don't treat them with respect. The women don't love the husbands, but they have money or they have power. They take as many women as they want. A lot of them treat them horribly, the women. So that's not the right answer either. The ultimate answer is, sort of meeting East and West. Yes, you get as many wives as you want, but only if they respect you and they love you and they want to be with you, and you treat them right and you give them whatever they need and whatever they want. And then that's the ultimate in life. Hope you enjoyed it. today's lecture. See you in the next one.